He devoted his life in service to our country, but then the vaccine mandate ran right into his freedom of religion. Hi, I'm Stuart Shepard, and we are coming to you from the National Religious Broadcasters Convention in a series of special episodes this week. It's here in Texas this year, so we thought, let's just go hang out with all of our friends here from Christian media all over the country that all gathered together once a year. And one of the folks who is here is Drew Forsberg, who's one of our clients in our Navy SEALs case. Hey, Drew.
How you doing? Thanks, Stuart.
I'm good. I appreciate your making some time for us. I've not gotten to hear your story firsthand before, so first I just want to get to hear it. Tell me first what brought you to the SEALs. What made you decide that that was something you wanted to do?
For me, I was just a surfer kid who was going to college, and 9/11 happened. And about a week after that day, I was like, I just felt this conviction that I didn't want to take advantage of this great country and just keep surfing and doing my own thing. I needed to give back. I was 20 years old, I was an able-bodied American male, and so I needed to go surf. And so a week after that event, I was in the recruiter's office, and I told him that I saw a movie with Charlie Sheen in it when I was a young little kid, and I asked him if that was like in the realm of possibility for me to do. And he didn't shoot me any sideways. He said, yes, that's absolutely what we can do, and you're exactly the kind of guy we're looking for. I'm like, I don't have to go out in the Navy in big fleet or anything first. He was like, nope, they want guys straight off the street like you. Just start getting ready, start running, start swimming, and get in shape, and we'll make sure everything goes accordingly.
I always hear that the training is rough. How hard is it really? Can you describe it for us in a way that an out-of-shape guy like me can picture it?
Well, the advertised attrition rate is about 80%. So 8 out of 10 guys will not make it through. But the actual attrition rate is probably a lot higher because when I went to boot camp, there was 10 of us there who said we were all going to go be SEALs, and only 2 of us from that group even got to SEAL training.
Wow.
So that was so that's about what the attrition rate looks like. And then, we started our class in the beginning of what's called BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, with about 200 guys. We finished Hell Week about a month and a half later with less than 40 guys.
That's just unreal to me. And I hear that, as I've talked to some of our other clients, the physical part is demanding enough, but really it's all about what's going on inside your head.
Absolutely, yeah, because you know that it's going to be tough and grueling for everybody. Thankfully, like I said, I was a surfer, I was not an athlete. I never expected to come in first place. The mere fact that I could finish every evolution that they were throwing at us was an accomplishment for me. So if I wasn't in first, that didn't get to my head, and I knew I could just keep grinding it out as long as they'd let me.
So what is it about what needs to be going on inside your mind mentally to get through that, to realize that I've got nothing less to give, but yet I'm going to push on a little more? How do you get there?
I guess I was just kind of thinking like, well, it could be worse. So
no, that was yesterday.
Exactly. The only easy day was yesterday. So as you're going through it, I kind of was thinking it could be worse. This isn't that bad. Yeah. And as other guys would get up and ring the bell and quit, I was like, oh, I didn't know I was tougher than that guy. So I just kind of had these low expectations of my own performance, did the best that I could, and always knew that it could be a lot worse than where I was at right then.
What are the characteristic traits that make a good Navy SEAL? What does it take to accomplish that?
The biggest item I'd say is self-sacrifice, meaning one of the things that differentiates us from the other special operations groups is in BUDS, a lot of the time that you're spent during Hell Week and before Hell Week is what we call under the boat. So you and 6 other guys are carrying a boat on your head, and your neck feels like it's going to break. And you want to get away from that boat. You could maybe duck your head a little bit. But if you do that, then those other 6 guys underneath the boat are going to be carrying extra weight on their head. And you don't want to do that. So in other special operations groups where you're carrying a heavy rucksack on your back, you're the one suffering the punishment. And if you decide to quit, well then it's on you. You just take your rucksack off and it's over. Yeah. But if I step out to the side of that boat, all of my buddies are now going to be suffering with extra weight on their head, at least until they can get another guy in to replace me. And so that's kind of I would say the common thread that makes it such a brotherhood is when I meet another SEAL, I expect that they're willing to literally break their neck to save me, just like I was willing to break my neck for them.
Every story you tell is a perfect sermon illustration. I just want to pass that along. If you ever want to write a book, Pastors Everywhere will pick up a copy. Okay, let's talk about the case.
Yeah.
I wanted to go through all that to establish that you're physically fit, you're at the peak physical fitness of your life, you're as healthy as can be, you've outlasted 80% of the other guys who even tried to get through this, and then they come along and say, Drew, you got to get the shot.
Yeah, for me, I did 19 years of my career in San Diego, and when I was leaving, God basically moved our family down to Hawaii, for us, right, San Diego to Hawaii. But on that little junction over to Hawaii, I could see that there was a little bit more of an atmosphere where they were very much manipulating people into getting the shot. And I got there, I was new to the island, I hadn't done some time at the dive team that we have in Hawaii, so I wanted to kind of just lay low. And 6 months after I got there, I'm now at the 19 and a half year mark of my career, the mandate came out. And I was like, I'm absolutely not doing this. And if they tried to manipulate and coerce me more, they were like, oh, well, you're going to lose everything. And then there was the admiral.
By everything, we're talking about your retirement, your pension.
Retirement, pension, and then the admiral was coming in and trying to threaten to take away our tridents, meaning like we weren't even qualified to be SEALs anymore, which for a guy almost at my 20-year mark, another guy that I was working with in his 26-year mark, this is like your entire male adult identity that they're taking away from you. Yeah. So it was kind of a stressful moment for us, knowing that this is how betrayed we felt by, again, our brethren. We expected everybody is willing to break their necks for us, and now all of a sudden we have these senior officers who don't care about us at all and are willing to just write us off because we dared to say we have religious convictions against this shot.
Let's talk about that part a bit, because whenever we would post a story about this case online, a lot of people would chime in and say, well, I served in the military, and you just do whatever they say you have to do. Is that true?
I remember very clearly, as that young man going into talking to my recruiter, he walked me through the oath of service, which is, I, Drew Forsberg, swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to obey the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me. And he made sure that I understood that those orders had to be lawful orders. And if I was to ever say, like, this is not a lawful order, that's a big deal. But nevertheless, I need to understand that that's what they are talking about in that oath. So for the enlisted guys, they had to say, this is not a lawful order. Now, I got a commission at my 17-year mark and became what's called a warrant officer. That oath changes slightly. It changes from support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and obey the orders. That part is gone. Why? Because an officer, you're not paid to obey orders anymore. You're paid to know when to disobey orders. So my understanding was, this is not a lawful order. You guys don't have to do it. So I let all my guys know, this is not a lawful order. You don't have to do it, and I will take the heat for this. And then I had to stand up to all the other senior officers and say, this is unconstitutional, and you guys are breaking your oath to support and defend the Constitution by enforcing this mandate. And they kind of said, shut up, we don't care. And I'm like, all right, fine. Well, nevertheless, we'll see what happens. And through all this coercion and manipulation and threatening, like, hey, we know you just bought a house and it's really expensive here in Hawaii and you're going to lose everything, and the admiral wants dishonorable discharges, is what the Navy SEAL admiral wanted for all of us who dared say we didn't want this shot.
That's just wrong.
Absolutely. And I was like, all right, fine. So we submitted for our exemption paperwork, and the officers who were supposed to say, I'm for the endorsement of this accommodation, or I do not endorse it. But nevertheless, this piece of paper has to go all the way up to DC, and the Commodore and my commanding officer had to say basically their preference on if they were going to support me or not. And they both said they're not going to support me. Now that, again, I felt double betrayed, right? So the next day I just filed in what's called leave. I said I wanted to take 30 days leave, like my vacation time. And I got an immediate call from my supervisor like, hey, what are you doing asking for 30 days vacation? We need you in the office. Well, apparently, you said you don't need me. You said yesterday, according to that piece of paper that you submitted, that I'm more of a liability than I am an asset to you, so long as I'm remaining unvaccinated. Wow. I'm not going to get the vaccine, so if I'm a liability, I'll just take 30 days vacation. And he was like, we need you. We need you around. Oh, you need me around, is that right? And he was like, you're right. We'll give you as much time as you need. Please don't take 30 days vacation. And so then really from that moment forward, I was able to walk around as smug as I wanted because I knew they needed me more than I needed them. they needed me more than I needed a pension and a paycheck. Because I didn't sign up for a pension and a paycheck. I signed up to support and defend the Constitution. And that's what I would consistently throw back at them every time some little new tool for manipulation came out.
As an organization, First Liberty, we're not medical experts. It's not what we do. So whether someone chooses on their own to get the vaccine shot or not, that's up to them. They're smart people, they can figure it out. But we are experts as an organization on religious freedom. And your reason for not wanting to get the shot, for asking for an accommodation, was based on your faith. Tell me that foundation, describe it for us so we can understand it.
Sure, I prayed a lot about it because I knew there was different avenues to discuss and for guys to have religious objections to it. And I wasn't a big, I should just say, the way the Lord ultimately led me down was, you took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and this goes against it. And what does the Bible say about keeping your oaths? It's a major big deal in the Old Testament, a huge deal. And then Jesus capitalizes even more and says, let your yea be yea and your nay, nay. If I said yes to something like an oath to support and defend the Constitution, then I need to keep it. And so I don't need to break that for a pension or a paycheck. So that became the reason that for my religious conviction against the religious mandate. Because I saw firefighters, cops, nurses, teachers, all kinds of my countrymen losing their job over this. And so on one hand, I could take it, but if I did and I gave in, then I would be complicit in all of these other Americans losing their First Amendment right.
What was your reaction when you heard that we actually got the federal government, the Department of Defense, the top brass to back off? How'd you respond?
Oh, it was so perfectly timed because I got across the 20-year mark, and then I was actually up for a 2-year re-enlistment bonus. So I submitted for that re-enlistment bonus paperwork, and I was waiting to get told no, and that was exactly the same time that those senior headquarters people got the notification, hey, Drew's part of that lawsuit, and you need to treat him like he's a fully vaccinated individual, and they had to cut me a check for my re-enlistment bonus.
That's fantastic. What are you doing now? You're retired?
Yes, sir. I retired last March. That was just over 22 years in service, so it's just less than a year ago now. One of my major passion projects is with Beyond the Brotherhood, which is a nonprofit to help SEALs transition from military life to civilian life. People mostly in the civilian world know that we shoot guns, jump out of airplanes, and blow things up, but what they don't know is that we run the entire enterprise. The Navy cuts us a check, we do everything in-house for the SEAL teams. We hire and fire civilians, we run our own budgets, we do our own schedules, we run our own training, we do everything. So that's our main passion project, is making sure that guys, when they transition, they get to their rightful place in society. And then here I'm working with Pray.com. They were able to bring me in as an intern my last 6 weeks of naval service, and I got to understand their business model, love their organization and the culture that they have. And so what I did is I stay on with them to do some contracting for their events like NRB, and then also these pastors retreats where they take out some pastors to San Diego. We shoot guns with them, we blow some things up, we jump out of airplanes and do some stuff with underwater and even make them swim with the sharks. So it's a really cool passion project working with Pray.com.
You need more to do, Drew.
I do. Well, I've got 4 kids and we live in Hawaii, so there's lots of hobbies that keep us very occupied.
Hey, what was it like working with First Liberty? I always like giving people the inside view of what it's like as a client working with our organization. Describe it for me.
I've never really worked with lawyers before, except for those jags who told me to, take this illegal mandate. So it was very refreshing working with lawyers who were just, regular people with a good, solid Christian faith that really loved America.
I just want to say thank you for standing up for what you believe in. Thank you for your service to our country. And thank you for being a person who's willing to talk about this and encourage others at the same time.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for dropping by. Drew Forsberg, one of our Navy SEAL clients. If you'd like to support the work of First Liberty Institute, just drop by firstliberty.org and look for the big red Give button up at the top of the page. First Liberty is fighting for what matters most.